I want you to imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table just scrolling through your phone or laptop, maybe catching up on emails or a few work messages. Suddenly, a little voice behind you asks if they can use your computer for a minute. You don't think twice, after all it's family. So you hand it over without hesitation. But what happens next? What if that moment, that simple choice, unravels a mystery so deep it shakes everything you thought you knew about your family? That's exactly what happened to me, and you're about to hear the whole story step by step right here. You're probably wondering what kind of emails could possibly turn a quiet afternoon into a nightmare? Well, my niece, who is only 10 years old, found something on my laptop, something that I never expected her to see. Emails from her mom, my sister-in-law, who disappeared without a trace more than 2 years ago. No one has seen her since. No leads. No answers. Just silence. But those emails, they weren't just ordinary messages. They were full of clues, secrets, and fear, things that begged for answers and raised more questions than I could handle. Now, before you jump to any conclusions, let me be clear, this isn't just some typical missing person story. It's layered with family secrets, tangled relationships, and a darkness that's been hiding beneath the surface for years. And I promise you, every single detail matters. If you stick with me through this video, you will get the answers you came looking for. I'll take you through every discovery, every shock, and every heartbreaking moment that followed. But I won't lie, some answers may still be out there just beyond our reach. What you're about to hear is not just my story. It's a story about trust, betrayal, hope, and heartbreak. It's about what happens when family secrets come crashing into the light, and the ripple effects that change everything forever. I want you to feel what I felt, to walk through the confusion and the fear right alongside me. Because this isn't just about a missing mom. It's about the family she left behind, and the lengths we'll go to find the truth. When my niece first asked to use my laptop, I thought it was innocent. She wanted to watch cartoons, maybe play some games, kids these days, right? But what she found wasn't just a YouTube playlist or a funny video. It was a series of emails that suddenly made her hesitant, scared, and withdrawn in ways I couldn't explain. At first, I thought maybe she accidentally stumbled onto something inappropriate online. But no, these were emails, private, personal, and very clearly from her mom, addressed to someone named Jay. Whoever Jay was, I didn't know. But as I started reading, I realized that this wasn't just a casual exchange. It was a hidden diary of fear, escape plans, and warnings about people who wanted to keep my niece's mom silent. You might be thinking, how could emails like this exist and no one knew about them? That's exactly what I wanted to figure out too. Why were these emails on my laptop in the first place? Why hadn't I seen them before? And most importantly, what had happened to my sister-in-law? Was she running from someone? Was she in danger? Or had something worse happened that nobody dared to talk about? I want you to imagine what it feels like holding the evidence of a person's last desperate attempts to reach out before disappearing. That chilling sense of helplessness mixed with hope, that maybe these messages are the key to bringing her back. I felt that every time I scrolled through those emails, every word was a piece of a puzzle that didn't want to fit together. And as I read, I started noticing details, names, places, dates, that didn't add up. There were references to people we all trusted, places we never heard of, and things that seemed impossible. The deeper I went, the more dangerous it felt. I'm telling you all this because I want you to understand the weight of what I'm about to share. This isn't some internet mystery or urban legend. This is real life, my family's life, and it's messy, painful, and haunting. And as you watch, you'll come to see why some truths are harder to face than silence. If you're the kind of person who loves stories that unravel like a thriller, filled with emotional depth, family drama, and an unsolved mystery that grips your heart, you've come to the right place. I promise you this. By the end of this video, you will know what those emails revealed, why they were hidden away, and how my niece's discovery forced us to confront a past we never wanted to revisit. But here's the thing, I can't tell you everything all at once. This story needs to unfold like a puzzle, piece by piece. So I want you to stay with me, watch carefully, and pay attention to the details I share. Some of them might seem small or irrelevant at first, but trust me, they matter. And if you're watching this because you or someone you love has been touched by disappearance, family secrets, or unanswered questions, I want you to feel seen and understood. This is a story about pain, but also about the fierce love that keeps people searching when all hope seems lost. Let me introduce you to the key people involved because you'll need to know them to understand why this story is so complicated and so heart-wrenching. My niece, Emma, is 10 years old. She's bright, curious, and full of life, but since her mom went missing, something changed inside her. She's been guarded, cautious, and sometimes withdrawn. That's why I let her use my laptop that day, to try to help her feel safe and connected. What I didn't expect was that she'd find something that would reopen wounds we thought were healing. Her mom, my sister-in-law Lisa, vanished without a trace over 2 years ago. At first, the police said she might have left on her own, run away from problems, or maybe even started a new life. But the more time passed without any sign of her, the more we feared something else had happened. And these emails? They suggest Lisa was scared, hiding, and maybe even trying to send secret messages to people she trusted. But who could we trust? And why was she forced into silence? Then there's my brother Emma's dad, who has been struggling to hold everything together while dealing with the guilt and fear of not knowing what happened to his wife. And finally, there's me, someone who only wanted to be a safe place for my niece, but ended up at the center of a mystery I never wanted to be involved in. This video isn't just about the discovery of those emails. It's about what they meant for all of us, and how a single moment, a simple click on a laptop, can change everything. I'm going to walk you through the conversations, the clues, and the emotional roller coaster that followed. You'll see how we tried to piece together Lisa's story from the fragments she left behind, and how every answer led to more questions. I want you to ask yourself as you watch, what would I do if I found something like this? What secrets might be hiding in the places I least expect? And how far would you go to find the truth when it feels like the whole world is trying to keep it hidden? Of course. Here's the continuation, deepening the mystery with layered context, relationships, and red herrings, crafted to maintain suspense and keep viewers glued to the story with natural, engaging language and big paragraphs, all while incorporating trending YouTube keywords around missing persons, family secrets, emotional mystery, and thriller drama. In the weeks leading up to that moment when my niece unexpectedly found those emails, life around our family had already been tense, complicated, and thick with unspoken fears. My brother Emma's dad had been acting differently, more withdrawn, jittery even, and there was this underlying edge to him that no one could quite put their finger on. It wasn't just the obvious heartbreak over Lisa's disappearance. It felt like something else was eating at him, something deeper and darker than just grief. You know that feeling when someone is standing in the same room as you but you can tell their mind is miles away? That was him. I tried talking to him, but every conversation ended with vague answers and a desperate need to change the subject. It was as if he was carrying a secret, a heavy burden he couldn't share with anyone, not even his closest family. That silence, that guardedness, it hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst, and I started to wonder if there was more to Lisa's disappearance than we'd been told. Emma herself had been a mystery too. Since her mom vanished, she had moments when she'd stare off into space, as if trying to remember something just beyond her reach. Sometimes she'd talk about strange dreams or mention people I'd never heard of before, almost like fragments from another life. She clung to me more these days, but there was also a quiet strength behind her eyes, like she was holding on to some secret too. When she asked to use my laptop, I thought it was just a child's curiosity, maybe a way to escape reality for a little while. But the moment I saw how tense she became after reading those emails, I realized she had stumbled onto something none of us were prepared for. At first, the emails seemed straightforward, Lisa writing to someone she trusted, someone named Jay. The messages were cryptic, filled with references to meetings, plans, and warnings about people watching her. But as I read more, little details started to stand out, names that didn't belong in the family, locations we'd never heard about, and dates that didn't align with any of the police reports or public records. There was one line in particular that chilled me: "They don't know what I'm planning, but I can't stay silent much longer." Who was they? Who was she planning against? And what was she trying to protect? Then came the first red herring. I discovered a name repeated often in those emails: Mark. According to the messages, Mark was someone Lisa trusted but also feared. He appeared to be a key figure in whatever mess Lisa had found herself tangled in. At first, I thought Mark might be involved in her disappearance, maybe someone who wanted to keep her quiet. But when I dug a little deeper, Mark turned out to be a family friend, a man who had always been helpful and kind, or so everyone believed. He had no criminal record, no obvious motive. Yet, the way Lisa wrote about him was uneasy, almost like she was torn between trusting him and fearing him at the same time. That contradiction only made the mystery more confusing. Next, there was the issue of a place called the warehouse, mentioned several times in the emails but never explained. I started searching for anything resembling it near our town or anywhere Lisa could have gone. Some locals mentioned an abandoned building on the outskirts of the city, a place people said was used for secret meetings or shady deals. But no one really knew much because everyone avoided it, whispering rumors about illegal activities and strange noises at night. Could Lisa have been involved in something dangerous there? Was that where she went, or was she forced to go? Adding to the tension was my brother's sudden behavior change. One evening, after I confronted him gently about what he knew, he snapped in a way I'd never seen before. He told me to stop digging, to leave the past buried, and that some things were better left unknown. That scared me more than anything else. When someone who's supposed to protect you starts warning you off, it makes you question what they're hiding, and whether they're protecting you or themselves. Meanwhile, Emma started drawing strange pictures. Faces I didn't recognize, places that looked like maps, and symbols that seemed almost like a code. I asked her about them, but she just said they came from her dreams or from things she'd seen. It felt like she was trying to tell me something, but the words were tangled in a way only a child's mind could do. At times, I wondered if she remembered more than she could say, or if someone had told her things we didn't know. The thought was terrifying, but it also fueled my determination to keep searching. The local police investigation had gone cold months ago. They told us to move on, to accept that sometimes people just disappear. But when those emails surfaced, everything changed. They reopened the case, but I knew the truth was deeper than any official report. There were too many shadows, too many unanswered questions. People we trusted suddenly seemed like suspects, and every lead felt like a dead end. One night, I received a message on my phone from an unknown number, a warning to stop looking into Lisa's disappearance. It was short and cold, and it rattled me. Who was watching us? Was someone trying to scare us off? Or was it someone closer to home, someone who wanted to keep the past buried? The line between friend and foe blurred with every passing day, and I felt like I was walking blindfolded through a maze with no way out. The hardest part is knowing that Emma's mom might still be out there, somewhere, trying to send a message through those emails. But every answer we find only opens new questions. Is Lisa alive, hiding, or trapped? Did she choose to disappear, or was she taken? And how much danger are we in now that those secrets are surfacing? As I share this with you, I want you to think about the people in your life, those you trust and those you don't. What secrets might be hiding behind a smile, a familiar face, or even in the messages left unread on a forgotten laptop? This story is a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary moments hold the darkest mysteries, and that the search for truth can come at a cost none of us are prepared to pay. So, as we dive deeper into the tangled web of Lisa's disappearance, her secret emails, and the family caught in the middle, I want you to stay with me. There are twists ahead you won't see coming, moments that will make you question everything, and a truth that's more complicated than any of us imagined. This is not just a story about a missing person. It's about the hidden corners of our lives that refuse to stay quiet, the secrets that refuse to be forgotten, and the love that keeps us fighting even when the darkness closes in. Remember, what you're about to hear could change how you see trust, family, and the fragile line between hope and despair. Keep watching, because the next piece of the puzzle is coming, and it will leave you questioning who you really know. Just as I started to feel like we were making progress, like those emails might finally be the thread that could unravel the whole mystery, things took a sharp turn into something darker, more confusing, and more dangerous than I ever imagined. You know how sometimes, when you're so close to the truth, everything around you seems to start slipping away? Like the ground beneath your feet isn't steady anymore, and the people you thought you could count on suddenly vanish into shadows? That's exactly how it felt. It began with something small but impossible to ignore. One morning, I opened my laptop to show my brother the latest emails I'd uncovered, hoping maybe together we could piece things together. But the folder with Lisa's messages was gone, completely erased. At first, I thought maybe I'd made a mistake, maybe I was looking in the wrong place. But no, it was as if someone had carefully wiped the evidence away, cleaning up every trace so nothing remained. I double-checked backups, my cloud storage, even old devices. Nothing. Every lead, every desperate message from Lisa, vanished. That wasn't an accident. Someone didn't want us to find out the truth, and they were watching closely enough to make sure the most crucial pieces disappeared right before our eyes. Then came the warnings, messages that arrived in ways no one could ignore. A phone call in the dead of night, no one on the other end but heavy breathing and silence, sending chills down my spine. A handwritten note slipped under my door: stop digging or lose everything. The handwriting was shaky, but the threat was crystal clear. And it wasn't just me who started to feel the pressure. Emma seemed to sense it too. She grew quieter, more fearful, and one day she looked at me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "They don't want us to know." Those words stayed with me because I knew she wasn't just scared for herself. She was scared for her mom and maybe for all of us. Amidst this growing storm, I found myself questioning every relationship around me. There was one person I never expected to doubt: Mark, the man who had been such a trusted family friend. But after those emails disappeared and with mounting tension, I noticed strange things about his behavior. He started avoiding me, his stories didn't add up, and there were moments when his eyes flickered with something I couldn't name: fear? Guilt? Or maybe something darker. I confronted him once, asking point blank if he knew anything about Lisa's disappearance, and he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Instead, he deflected and said, "Some things are better left in the past." That phrase haunted me because it sounded like a warning disguised as advice, a secret he was desperate to keep buried. As I dug through old family photos and messages, trying to find anything that might explain why Mark was acting so strange, I uncovered something shocking. Something from years before Lisa disappeared. There was a long-forgotten argument, a betrayal that no one had ever talked about. Lisa had confronted Mark about something serious, something that fractured their friendship and hinted at a secret deal gone wrong. It was like finding a crack in the foundation of everything we thought was solid. Could this hidden betrayal be the key to understanding why Lisa vanished? Or was it just another distraction meant to keep us chasing shadows? Trying to make sense of it all, I realized the deeper we went, the more dangerous it became, not just emotionally but physically. One night, my car was keyed and a brick was thrown through my front window. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the message was clear: stop. That's when I understood this wasn't just about family secrets anymore. There were real people, real threats, and real stakes. Someone powerful enough to erase emails, threaten a family, and intimidate anyone who got too close. Even Emma wasn't safe from this growing darkness. She started having nightmares, waking up screaming about them coming for her, and refused to talk about what she saw or heard. I tried to comfort her, but I knew the fear was rooted in something deeper than bad dreams. It was a child's intuition sensing danger that adults sometimes refuse to acknowledge. At the same time, there was an unexpected figure who appeared, someone offering help but whose intentions felt ambiguous. A private investigator named Claire reached out, claiming she had information about Lisa and wanted to assist. At first, she seemed like a beacon of hope, a professional who could cut through the lies and secrets. But as I shared more with her, subtle signs made me question whether she was really on our side. She asked too many questions about what we knew, pushed too hard for personal details, and seemed to have a hidden agenda. Was she genuinely trying to help, or was she working for someone who wanted to keep us silent? I couldn't tell, and that uncertainty made the situation even more terrifying. Throughout all this chaos, I kept coming back to one chilling thought: Lisa's disappearance wasn't random. It was connected to something much bigger than a family gone through tragedy. It was tied to secrets that certain people wanted hidden at any cost, secrets that involved betrayal, fear, and maybe even danger we couldn't fully grasp yet. And just when I thought the puzzle couldn't get any more twisted, the last piece of evidence I held, an old handwritten letter from Lisa to me, tucked away in a drawer and forgotten until now, disappeared too. It wasn't just missing, it was gone without a trace. No one else had been in the house, so how could it vanish? Was this just another attempt to silence us? Or was someone playing a deeper game, leading us to question everything we believed? That's where I'm at right now, stuck between fear and hope, truth and lies, trust and suspicion. Every step forward feels like 2 steps back, every clue uncovers new shadows, and every ally seems to have a hidden motive. But I can't stop, not when my niece's mom is out there somewhere, and those emails were her last attempt to reach us. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to be caught in a mystery that grows darker with every answer, to be warned off by unseen threats, and to face the possibility that someone close to you might not be who they seem, then this story will resonate with you. This is not just a missing persons case, it's a tangled web of secrets, lies, and danger, and I'm right in the middle of it. Just as I was trying to steady myself, grappling with the vanishing letter and the chilling threats, something else happened that flipped everything on its head and made the whole situation feel even more twisted. It wasn't just me anymore. Someone else close to me got pulled into this dangerous game, and suddenly the stakes weren't just about uncovering a hidden truth, they were about protecting the people I love most, even when I couldn't be sure who was friend or foe. It started with a phone call I never expected. My sister, Lisa's older sister, who had been mostly distant throughout this whole ordeal, reached out one evening, her voice shaking with a mix of fear and frustration. She told me that she'd received a strange package at her doorstep. Something that seemed innocent at first but quickly turned sinister. Inside was an old photograph of Lisa and a note that simply said, "Stop before it's too late." There was no return address, no signature, just that single sentence that hit like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just a warning, it was a message to the entire family, a clear signal that someone was watching all of us, tracking our every move and desperately trying to shut us down. My sister's involvement complicated everything because she'd kept a low profile, staying out of the spotlight and away from the drama. Yet now, she was being dragged into the same dark shadows that had haunted Lisa's disappearance from the very beginning. It made me realize that whatever secrets we were chasing, they weren't just buried in the past, they were very much alive, and whoever was behind this wasn't afraid to make threats that crossed boundaries we never imagined. At the same time, a new piece of evidence surfaced that didn't fit with anything we thought we knew. A neighbor from the old neighborhood where Lisa and my brother used to live reached out anonymously, claiming they had seen Lisa just a few weeks after her supposed disappearance date. The problem? This eyewitness account contradicted the timeline we'd been given by the police and the stories told within our family. If Lisa was still around, then who had been missing all this time? And why hadn't anyone told us about these sightings before? This revelation shook the foundation of everything and threw me into a whirlwind of doubt. Were we chasing the wrong narrative? Had someone lied to protect themselves or to keep us all in the dark? The more I dug into the neighbor's story, the more questions I uncovered. They described Lisa looking frightened, hurried, and constantly checking over her shoulder, as if she was running from someone or something. They saw her meeting with a man, a stranger, in a parking lot at odd hours. A man who didn't match any of the names we had from the emails or the police files. Who was this new figure? Was he a friend, a foe, or something else entirely? And how did he fit into the puzzle of Lisa's disappearance? The uncertainty gnawed at me because every answer felt like a trapdoor leading to more confusion. Meanwhile, the tension within our family was escalating. My brother became more distant, refusing to talk about anything related to Lisa, while my sister's sudden involvement brought old wounds and accusations bubbling to the surface. There were heated arguments, whispered confrontations behind closed doors, and moments where it felt like trust was unraveling thread by thread. Even Emma seemed to pick up on this tension, her once quiet strength replaced by a fragile vulnerability that broke my heart. I started to wonder if the very people I was trying to protect were the ones at risk of being torn apart by this mystery. Then there was the strange behavior of Claire, the private investigator who had inserted herself into our lives. She started asking questions that seemed too pointed, prying into areas that didn't feel related to Lisa's case. She wanted to know about my brother's past, our family finances, and even details about other relatives who had no apparent connection to the disappearance. It made me suspicious. Was she really here to help, or was she playing a deeper game? Her presence added another layer of uncertainty, making it harder to know who we could rely on in this tangled web of secrets. The atmosphere around us grew heavier every day. Phone lines would go dead just as someone picked up, emails from unknown senders flooded inboxes, and every step we took forward seemed to invite new obstacles. I caught myself looking over my shoulder more often, questioning every knock at the door and every unfamiliar face in the neighborhood. It was like we were living in a thriller, one where the villains were invisible, the heroes uncertain, and the truth was hidden just beyond reach. And just when I thought we had hit the lowest point, a cryptic message arrived on my computer. No sender, no explanation, just a single sentence typed in bold letters across the screen: "Some secrets aren't meant to be found." It was a stark reminder that whoever was behind this was watching, waiting, and willing to do whatever it took to keep the past buried. So here we are, deeper in the maze than ever before. More people drawn into the mystery, more questions than answers, and shadows creeping in from every direction. I want you to ask yourself, in a world where every clue is suspect and every ally could be an enemy, how do you find the truth without losing yourself? How far would you go when the people you love are caught in the crossfire? The moment everything spiraled into darkness hit me like a punch I never saw coming, the kind that leaves you breathless and scrambling to catch your footing in a world that suddenly doesn't make sense anymore. It started with subtle signs, little things I had brushed off before, cars I didn't recognize parked near my house for hours, shadows flickering just beyond the blinds, and that unbearable feeling of being watched that gnawed at my nerves day and night. But it wasn't until one late evening when I was driving home alone from picking up Emma, that the reality slammed into me with terrifying clarity. The rearview mirror caught the headlights of a car that seemed to mimic every turn I made, tailing me close enough that I could see the glint of its headlights reflecting in the wet pavement. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst, but I kept calm, pretending not to notice, weaving through side streets in hopes of losing whoever was behind me. But no matter what I did, the car stayed on my tail, relentless and silent, like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. That night shattered any remaining illusions I had about this being just a complicated family mystery or a painful secret we could eventually solve with time and patience. The truth hit me with brutal force: I was being hunted. And not just me, The entire family was caught in something far bigger and far more dangerous than any of us could have imagined. The fear wasn't just about the unknown anymore, it was about survival. In the days that followed, the tension wrapped around me like a suffocating fog. I found myself jumping at every unexpected noise, double-checking locks multiple times a night, and feeling the crushing weight of paranoia settle into every waking thought. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and worst of all, I felt isolated. Even the people I trusted seemed distant, and the line between ally and enemy blurred more with each passing hour. Emma noticed the change too. Her bright spirit dimmed as she picked up on my fear, and I saw the worry reflected in her innocent eyes, the same eyes that had found those haunting emails in the first place. Then, in a moment that nearly broke me, someone I depended on vanished without a trace. My sister, the one who had received that ominous package and reluctantly stepped into the chaos, disappeared overnight. No calls, no texts, no signs she was coming back. One minute she was frantic but determined to help us uncover the truth, and the next she was gone, swallowed by the same shadows that had haunted Lisa all along. The police treated it as a missing persons case, but deep down I knew this was no coincidence. Someone was sending a message, clear and merciless, that if we kept digging, more people we loved would vanish. With her disappearance, the walls closed in tighter. The warnings escalated too. A letter slid under my door in the dead of night, its words scrawled hastily in red ink, dripping with menace: last chance. Walk away or lose everything. It was the kind of threat that freezes you in place, not because you don't want to keep going but because you suddenly realize how high the price might be. My mind raced endlessly, wrestling with fear and determination. What was Lisa involved in that put our family in such peril? Who was orchestrating this web of terror, erasing evidence, stalking us in silence, and now snatching my sister from the safety of her own home? Each answer I searched for seemed to spiral me deeper into a maze of lies and danger, and yet, giving up was not an option. The faces of Emma, my brother, and my missing sister haunted me, fueling a fierce resolve to uncover the truth no matter the cost. But with every step closer to the truth, my paranoia grew. Who could I trust? Was Claire, the investigator, really working for us, or was she just another piece in this deadly game? Was Mark's strange behavior a sign of guilt or fear? Or was the real threat someone I'd never suspected, hiding behind a familiar smile? The line between protector and predator blurred until I was left questioning everything and everyone. I was no longer just searching for a missing mom or lost family members, I was fighting to stay alive, caught in a dark storm where every shadow could hide a threat and every whisper could be a trap. The mystery had become a living nightmare, with no clear end and no safe place left to turn. And then, just when I thought I had reached the absolute bottom of this terrifying spiral, I found something that shattered my already fragile sense of hope. A single message on my laptop screen, appearing as if from nowhere, stark and cold: "You were warned. The truth will bury you." It was a chilling reminder that the secrets we uncovered might destroy us all before they ever set anyone free. I don't know how much longer I can keep going without losing myself. The fear is real, the danger is close, and the questions only multiply. But I owe it to my niece, to my family, and to myself to keep searching, no matter the cost. Because somewhere in this darkness is the truth, hidden, dangerous, and waiting to be found. Just when I thought I had grasped the full extent of this nightmare, when every shadow had been chased down and every thread pulled tight, the ground beneath me shifted in a way I never saw coming. It wasn't just the disappearance of my sister or the vanishing emails, it was something so deeply buried, so cleverly hidden, that it rewrites everything I thought I knew about Lisa, about my family, and about the danger lurking just beyond reach. It came late one night, when exhaustion and fear had dulled my senses, but something inside told me not to give up yet. I was going through a box of old belongings that had belonged to Lisa, things she had left behind in the chaos before she vanished, and that's when I found it, a small, unmarked USB drive tucked inside a journal she kept hidden for years. My heart pounded as I plugged it into my laptop, fingers trembling, knowing this could be the breakthrough we desperately needed, or the final trap waiting to snap shut. The files on that drive weren't just emails or letters. They were videos, raw footage of conversations, meetings, and private moments Lisa recorded herself. Watching them, I saw a side of her none of us had ever known. A woman caught in something far more complex than a simple disappearance. There were meetings with shadowy figures, hushed talks about exposing corrupt people in our community, and hints that Lisa had stumbled onto something dangerous involving powerful people who would stop at nothing to silence her. But the biggest shock wasn't in the footage itself, it was what came after. A video message addressed directly to me, recorded in her own trembling voice, revealing secrets that shattered the foundation of everything I believed. Lisa wasn't just a victim, she was a whistleblower. She had uncovered a web of lies and corruption linked to people we trusted, people in positions of influence and power. And worse, she warned that those closest to me, people I had relied on, believed in, might not be who they seemed. As the video played, my mind raced back to Mark's evasive answers, Claire's suspicious questions, and my brother's silent resistance. Suddenly, their behavior took on a new, sinister meaning. The people I thought were allies might have been part of the problem all along. Lisa's message was clear: trust no one, because betrayal ran deeper than I ever imagined. Then, just as I absorbed this bombshell, the biggest twist hit me like a thunderclap. The video revealed that Lisa's disappearance wasn't an accident or a kidnapping but a carefully planned escape to protect us. She had known the danger was closing in and had staged her vanishing to throw off those who wanted her silenced. But in doing so, she left behind clues, like the emails and now this drive, hoping someone would find them and carry on the fight she couldn't finish. And the most gut-wrenching revelation of all? Lisa hinted that my brother might have been unknowingly involved, manipulated by those forces she was fighting against. It wasn't a story of simple family tragedy but a battle against a hidden enemy that had infiltrated our lives in ways we never suspected. This twist changed everything. The mystery wasn't just about a missing mom anymore, it was a story of courage, deception, and survival against a backdrop of betrayal that turned my world upside down. Suddenly, every glance, every conversation, every secret took on new meaning. And I was left to wonder how deep the rabbit hole went, who was truly protecting us, and whether we were ready to face the darkness Lisa had fled from. If you thought this was a story about loss and disappearance, think again. It's about secrets so dangerous they rewrite reality, about trust shattered and rebuilt in the face of fear, and about the lengths one woman went to save her family from an enemy they never saw coming. Stay with me, because the truth is just beginning to surface, and the next chapter will challenge everything you thought you knew. The moment I realized just how tangled this web was, how close the enemy had been all along, the weight of impossible choices pressed down on me like a suffocating fog I couldn't shake. The revelations from Lisa's video weren't just bombshells. They were chains dragging me deeper into a nightmare where every decision could mean the difference between safety and total destruction. I found myself standing face to face with my brother one late evening, the air thick with years of unspoken tension and suspicion. His eyes held a storm of emotions, guilt, fear, maybe even shame, and yet, when I looked into them, I saw the same man I grew up with, the one who had always been my family. Confronting him wasn't just about finding answers anymore, it was about deciding if I could trust him again, or if the person I loved most was part of the darkness that had swallowed Lisa. I laid everything out: the videos, the emails, the impossible truths Lisa had uncovered. I watched as his face flickered from anger to sorrow, and then to something harder to read. He didn't deny the connections or the secrets. Instead, he confessed he'd been caught in the crossfire of forces far beyond our control. That some people had manipulated him, threatening more than just our family, threatening the very lives of everyone we loved. The choice he made was survival, but it came at the cost of silence and complicity. The room felt like it was closing in, the past colliding with the present, and I was torn between fury and heartbreak, between the need to understand and the urge to walk away before the danger swallowed me too. But before I could process the full weight of his confession, I received a chilling ultimatum. A message left on my voicemail, disguised with a cold, mechanical voice, warning me that if I didn't stop digging, if I didn't abandon the truth Lisa had risked everything to expose, my family would pay a price I couldn't imagine. Walk away, it said. Or lose everything. That moment, hearing those words, was like standing on a razor's edge, every instinct screaming to protect myself and those I loved, but every fiber of my being demanding I keep fighting for the truth, no matter the cost. It was a choice no one should ever have to make: safety or justice, silence or survival. The emotional weight was crushing. I thought about Emma, about the innocent light in her eyes that deserved a life free from fear and lies. I thought about Lisa, whose courage had ignited this search, whose sacrifice had set us on this path. And I thought about my brother, the man caught between right and wrong, trying to shield us from a darkness he barely understood. Every choice I faced was tangled with love and betrayal, trust and doubt, hope and despair. The stakes weren't just about solving a mystery anymore, they were about holding together a family fractured by secrets and threats, about standing firm in a world that seemed to shift beneath my feet with every new revelation. As the tension mounted, I realized the true battle wasn't just with the unknown enemies lurking in the shadows, it was with myself, with the fear and uncertainty that threatened to tear me apart from the inside out. Could I protect my family and uncover the truth? Or would the cost be too high, forcing me to lose the people I was trying to save? The lines between right and wrong blurred, leaving me trapped in a storm of impossible choices where every path led to pain. And just when I thought I might find some clarity, another twist emerged. An unexpected ally reached out from the shadows, offering help but with conditions I couldn't ignore. Their motives were unclear, their trustworthiness uncertain, and their price steep. It was a gamble, one that could either save us or destroy everything. The clock was ticking, the danger closing in, and the weight of those choices pressed down harder than ever. So here I stand, at a crossroads where every decision feels like a leap into the unknown. The story isn't just about a missing mom or a family torn apart. It's about survival, sacrifice, and the haunting question of how far you're willing to go when the truth becomes the deadliest secret of all. The moment the full scale of the conspiracy hit me was like being slammed into a wall of ice, cold, sharp, and impossible to ignore. What I thought was a tangled family mystery was actually just the tip of a vast, twisted iceberg that stretched far beyond my world, pulling in people I'd never expected and threatening everything I held dear. It wasn't just my brother, my sister, or even Lisa who were caught in this web. It was a network, a silent, powerful force working in the shadows, infiltrating the places we trusted most. The people who promised to protect us, to help us heal, were part of the machinery designed to keep us quiet, keep us blind, and keep us under their control. The truth came crashing down faster than I could process. Claire, the private investigator who had inserted herself so deeply into our lives, suddenly revealed her real purpose, not as an ally, but as a player in this dangerous game. The realization that she'd been monitoring us all along, feeding information back to those who wanted the truth buried, hit me like a betrayal so deep it cut through every ounce of hope I had left. She wasn't just suspicious, she was orchestrating parts of the cover-up, manipulating emotions and steering us toward dead ends. Her calm demeanor and fake sympathy were masks for someone who had been working against us from the start. The person I had almost trusted with my family's secrets turned out to be one of the biggest threats to our survival. And it didn't stop there. The network wasn't just limited to individuals in our immediate circle. It reached into local law enforcement, government officials, and even some community leaders we'd admired for years. Corruption ran deep, and those in power had been using that influence to silence Lisa and anyone who tried to expose the truth. The emails, the videos, the threats, they were all part of a calculated effort to maintain control and prevent the unraveling of secrets that would shake the very foundation of the town we lived in. The conspiracy was bigger than I could have ever imagined, and it wasn't just about protecting a few people, it was about maintaining an entire system built on lies, fear, and silence. As the pieces fell into place, the danger escalated exponentially. The warnings became more urgent, the threats more personal. There were moments when I felt eyes burning into my back, whispers shadowing my every step, and the chilling certainty that one wrong move could mean the end for me and my family. The pressure wasn't just external, it was suffocating, relentless, forcing me to question every decision, every alliance, every step forward. Trust became a rare commodity, and the few people who remained by my side carried the weight of fear and uncertainty just as heavily as I did. The emotional toll was devastating. Watching my family fracture under the strain, seeing Emma's innocence slip further away with every dark revelation, and feeling the crushing loneliness of knowing that those I needed most might not be who they appeared to be, it was overwhelming. But surrendering wasn't an option. The fight for truth became a battle for survival, a race against time to expose the conspiracy before it swallowed us whole. Every heartbeat echoed with urgency, every breath was heavy with the weight of what was at stake. And just when I thought the walls couldn't close in any tighter, the ultimate betrayal shattered the fragile remnants of my world. Someone I considered a friend, someone who had been quietly supporting me through the darkest moments, revealed their true colors. A double agent playing both sides, feeding secrets back to those pulling the strings behind the scenes. That revelation cut deeper than any threat, leaving me reeling in a storm of distrust and heartbreak. It was a reminder that in a game this deadly, loyalty was a luxury few could afford. The climax of this nightmare was fast approaching, and the stakes had never been higher. The lines between enemy and ally blurred beyond recognition, and the cost of uncovering the truth threatened to destroy everything I loved. But deep inside, beneath the fear and exhaustion, a flicker of resolve burned bright. I knew that exposing the conspiracy meant risking everything, but not exposing it meant losing everything. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be caught in a world where power corrupts, where betrayal lurks in every shadow, and where the search for truth becomes the most dangerous fight of your life, this story will take you there. The next chapter isn't just about answers, it's about facing the darkest corners of human nature and deciding how far you're willing to go when everything is on the line. The air was thick with tension, every breath I took feeling like it could ignite the storm that had been building for months. I stood in the dimly lit room, the place where everything, every secret, every lie, every shattered trust, was finally going to come to light. The faces around me were familiar but twisted by fear, guilt, and desperation. Claire, no longer the trusted investigator but the cold-eyed architect of deception, stood opposite me, her calm facade slipping just enough to reveal the ruthless ambition beneath. Across the room, my brother's posture betrayed a conflict raging inside him, the man torn between loyalty to our family and the shadows he'd been dragged into. The walls seemed to close in, the weight of the conspiracy pressing down like a physical force, but there was no turning back. This was the moment where the tangled threads had to unravel no matter the cost. I laid out everything, the videos, the emails, the threats, the package my sister received before she disappeared, and the chilling messages that had haunted my every step. The pieces fit together in a grim mosaic of corruption and betrayal far deeper than I ever imagined. The powerful people who had controlled the town, who had erased Lisa's voice and tried to silence us all, were here in that room in one form or another. The conspiracy was not just a backdrop to my family's pain, it was a sprawling network, one that reached into every corner of our lives. Claire's role was no accident. She had been the link, the one keeping the machine running smoothly, feeding false leads and steering us away from the real truth. But she underestimated the fire she had ignited in me, the desperate need to protect my family and finally bring justice for Lisa. The confrontation spiraled quickly, words sharp and cutting, accusations thrown like daggers across the room. Claire's veneer cracked as I pressed her, and in a moment of cold honesty, she admitted that Lisa had uncovered a scandal involving illegal activities run by some of the town's most respected figures, activities that threatened to topple a fragile balance of power. Lisa had been silenced because she was a threat to everything they had built. My brother, caught in the crossfire, had been manipulated, forced into silence by threats against our family. But his confession was also a plea for redemption, a desperate attempt to protect us even if it meant betraying his own soul. Just when I thought the truth was laid bare, the atmosphere shifted. The door creaked open and a figure I never expected appeared, my sister. She walked in, exhausted but alive, carrying a folder thick with documents that none of us had seen before. She revealed that she'd been undercover all along, forced into hiding to gather evidence that could finally bring the entire conspiracy crashing down. Her disappearance had been staged to protect her from the very people we were confronting now. The room froze, the betrayal and relief mixing into a dizzying swirl of emotion. The pieces we had been chasing were finally in place, but the cost had been staggering. Then came the final gut-wrenching twist. As the folder was opened and the evidence spread across the table, Claire's expression shifted from fear to cold calculation. She pulled out a phone and hit send on a message that silenced the room. We had been played again. The final piece of evidence, the one that could have destroyed the conspiracy, was a carefully planted trap. The real mastermind wasn't in this room at all, it was someone we had trusted implicitly, someone who had been pulling strings from the shadows, watching us tear ourselves apart while they stayed hidden. The weight of that realization crashed over me like a tidal wave. The battle was far from over, and the enemy was closer than I ever imagined. The climax wasn't just a confrontation, it was a brutal reckoning with the nature of trust and betrayal, with the limits of family and the depths of human deception. As the pieces fell into place and the final mask was torn away, I understood that the fight for truth was a battlefield littered with casualties, and that sometimes the most dangerous enemy was the one who smiled at you from across the table. And just when the room seemed ready to collapse under the weight of the revelations, the power went out, plunging us into darkness. A final message appeared on every screen around us, chilling in its simplicity: "This is only the beginning." The dust settled slowly after that night of revelations, and though the immediate danger seemed to fade, the shadows lingered, reminding me that some battles leave scars you carry forever. My sister's undercover work finally exposed enough evidence to bring some of the corrupt officials to justice, though the web was so vast that not everyone faced consequences, and I knew the true mastermind still lurked, untouchable, watching and waiting. My brother sought redemption in small ways, trying to rebuild the fractured pieces of our family while grappling with the weight of choices he'd made. Emma began to heal, her laughter slowly returning as the storm around us calmed, but in her eyes I saw a quiet strength born from surviving the impossible, a reminder of why this fight mattered so much. For me, the search for Lisa transformed from desperation to a bittersweet acceptance. Knowing she was alive but still fighting her own battles somewhere out there gave me hope and heartache in equal measure. The truth had set some things free, but it also revealed how fragile trust can be, how darkness can hide behind the most familiar faces, and how courage often means moving forward even when you can't see the path ahead clearly. Though justice had started to take hold, the mystery never fully unraveled. There were pieces that didn't fit, questions that remained unanswered, and an uneasy sense that the story wasn't quite finished. The final message that plunged us into darkness that night haunted me, a reminder that some secrets are too big to disappear overnight, and some threats never truly vanish. But with that weight came a strange kind of peace, a resolve to keep fighting not just for what was lost but for what could still be saved. I learned that sometimes closure isn't about neat endings or clear answers. It's about holding on to the truth in your heart and the hope that one day, the darkness will give way to light. If you've ever found yourself caught between love and betrayal, truth and silence, you know how hard it is to keep going when the stakes feel impossibly high. This story isn't just about a missing mom or a family's search for answers. It's about the resilience we find when the world turns upside down and the courage to face the unknown no matter how terrifying it seems. The echoes of what happened will stay with me and maybe with you too, because some mysteries don't just disappear, they become a part of who we are. So, as you sit here reflecting on everything you've heard, ask yourself what you would do if the people you trusted the most were the ones hiding the darkest secrets, and how far you'd go to protect the truth when it's the only thing that can save you. The answers might not be easy, but the journey, full of shadows, pain, and unexpected light, is what shapes us all. Thank you for being here and trusting me with this story. Remember, sometimes the greatest mysteries are the ones that live within us, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves.